independent in thoughts, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Folks, America's an idea. An idea that's stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It gives hope to the most desperate people on earth. It guarantees that everyone is treated with dignity and gives hate no safe harbor. Everything that has made America, America is at stake. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Oh, you know who that is? Joe Biden is running for president of this here United States of America. Worst kept secret is now out of the bag. What? Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of money he's going to raise because he's old-fashioned. He's got mega donors, been around since I was looking. Basically, he was born 3 years before the end of World War II. So soak that up for a second. Not like Trump is a youngster, right? Like Trump's a little bit more of a go when you see him out there. But just to give you an idea, in a day and age of the Democratic Party trying to go not only left, but younger left, woke, progressive, Joe is a relic, right? Joe is a relic. But he came out today taking more of an attack point of view towards the president than he did to the people that he has to defeat first before he ever gets the chance to really step into the ring with the president. And like I saw with Booker and a lot of other people, when it comes to this president, it is going to be not so much about policy, not even so much about Russia, even though they'll throw that around because they're hoping that's going to weaken and siphon off a few votes here and there. It's going to be about his personality and what they see as essentially his division of us in this country and how he's been divisive and he's been full of hate.
That's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides.
Misquoted.
Those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. In that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime. I wrote at the time that we're in the battle for the soul of this nation. Well, that's even more true today. We are in the battle for the soul of this nation.
Soul of this nation. The battle. And by the way, that whole thing is just totally misquoted. Like he was having a discussion with a reporter and the whole, oh, there's some fine people on that side. If you go through and you read it, you're just like, that's not really, yeah, he said that, but in the context of it, it's not the way that everybody presents it. And he even talked later on about how, you know, how awful neo-Nazis and the KKK and all that stuff, but it's just never enough. And if you can pick and choose, people are going to do that. And that's where they're going to go with this. Right now, as it stands, I will tell you this. Trump's biggest opponent will be the economy. It's going to be his best friend or his biggest opponent. That's it. His best friend or biggest opponent. Because if the economy goes to hell in a handbasket, any one of them that get through have a shot at taking him. But if it stays strong, that's going to be his best friend. Then the question is, he's already got a lead by many polling accounts, even some that he's opened up an 8-point lead on Trump. But it's early, and we still have 550 plus days till that day, and they still have to get through each other. So how strong is he?
He's as weak a front runner as you can imagine. Yes, he has a lead in national polls. Some state polls have others, including Bernie Sanders in the lead. And I think he comes in without the ability to have cleared the field. That said, I think there's a chance for Joe Biden. And the way his team thinks about this is really to dominate the field, become the center of gravity, have the other candidates define themselves around Joe Biden. A whole lot of other candidates have been busy defining what the Democratic Party is like. Joe Biden, who's a voice really from the past of the party, is hoping to cast himself as the solution for the future.
Yes, but the past is a big thing for a group of people who've grown up in a world now where it's totally different than Joe, right? I said earlier, Joe was born before World War II ended, right? Before TVs were in every home or any home in America for all intents and purposes, right? Just coming in. I mean, He is, I joke about it, he is 8-track tape. And they're streaming and they're podcasting. It is a different world. And Joe has to figure out, how do I bridge that gap between the two? And if he gets through, he'll do it with a running mate. But it's also the progressive side of things, right? Joe grew up at a time where there was the big red threat, where socialism and communism were bad. Not that it was welcomed and embraced on college campuses and then in many ways just poured out into these kids' brains over the last umpteen years. He grew up with civil discord through the 60s and whatnot, but it's become mainstream now. Socialism isn't a bad word. It isn't. So he's got to figure out, how do I, because where it's not a bad word is for the Bernie types, but where it is a bad word, no matter what anybody says, it's fine in, Seattle and San Diego and Los Angeles and New York. You could talk about stuff like that, getting woke and the whole 9 yards. Let me tell you where they're going to struggle, though. Those states where you've got 45, 50-year-old Democratic voters who are union members, but that word socialism will scare him. That's where he'll do well and surprise a lot of people, but he's got to get there. Because as we all know, this other woke world of giving everybody everything for free, how's Joe navigate that? How's Uncle Joe? Take away the age thing. Take away all of those stuff. He gets it. He's been in government since he was 3 months old, it feels like, right? He's been in government so long. How does he navigate this new Democratic Party where he really hasn't been a factor? He was the semi-half-ass wingman for President Obama, right? Because we all know what happens when you're vice president. Very few vice presidents do a lot. And you're not really in it anymore. You're not running for anything. You're not really in the melee. So it's going to be interesting to watch. It really will be, on how he goes about doing this and trying to bridge that gap, because I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Money-wise, I think he'll be fine. He's going to raise a ton of money, and that's going to be a helper. That will keep him around a very long time. But take away Trump and take away all of the other stuff when it comes to running for president as a one-on-one. How do you maneuver inside of a party that looks at you as a relic with old ideas? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every one of you. We're going to be touching on this throughout the day. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. And again, the Democrats are trying to do everything they can to try to figure out how they can get rid of Trump. And if they can do it through the likes of Nadler and them, they would love to do it. But I continue to say, and will continue to say, the only way you're going to get rid of Trump is at that one place on that Tuesday night in November of next year.
I'm a firm believer that Donald Trump has to be voted out the way he was voted in, by persuading a majority of the American people that he is not fit to be president for another term.
Yeah. Can they do that? We'll find out. I will say this, make him a sympathetic figure. If you go and you figure out a way to get him out of there, what you're going to basically say is, to a lot of people who voted, some 60-plus million people who voted for Trump, you just kind of went and nullified their vote. If you don't think there's going to be division there and they're not going to be looking for the next, you'd be fooling yourself. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I am going tonight to see the Avengers. I'm excited about this. I am. It's amazing. You've got, what a day. So you got the NFL draft tonight. You've got the Avengers coming out, which is going to be, I think, very interesting. I really think it's going to be a very interesting thing. I just don't know. My biggest thing is how do I get through 3 hours without having to go to the bathroom? But I was talking to my son last night, and because he really wants to see it with me, and I'll go see it again when I get out there to see him in the next week or two. But I wanted to go originally just see it, and because I'm like, man, 3 hours. Because I take my son to the movies, and many of you guys probably do this. You take your kid to the movies, and after about an hour and 10 minutes, they're bouncing off the walls, right? And that's what I think is going to happen here. So this will be very, very interesting to see. But I'm excited. I've got to get there. I was talking. They said, yeah, get there about an hour early, so you can get yourself in line before the movie. That is crazy. One of the other things that's going on in the world, and this is something very interesting, that not getting any real pub and play is what took place between two leaders of countries we kind of have a little death stare at.
There were plenty of displays of friendship at the first meeting between North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un and Russia's Vladimir Putin. Kim gave Putin a golden sword when they met on an island near the city of Vladivostok in Russia's Far East. The two said they discussed the standoff between the US and North Korea over its nuclear weapons. They made few detailed comments, but Putin reiterated Russia's position that North Korea needs security guarantees to give up its nuclear arsenal.
Yeah, they've said, you know what, just what they're given. And this is where Russia's playing another part of being an influencer in the world, where he's telling him, yeah, you need a lot more than what they're offering you. What they're offering you is crap. So you're going to need a lot more. I wouldn't do any of the deals they're offering you right now. I get more influence and real things. So this is not going to be talked about today. Needs to be talked about. In fact, Bernie Sanders went as so far as yesterday to say that he is going to be a lot more focused on things globally in this run than he was in the last one, because he thinks that's one of the places where he struggled a bit. This is one of those things. I mean, Trump and him and that weird relationship they have, I will say this. He's not firing stuff off like he used to. Yeah, he did his little missile test, but that was something within the bounds that they had talked about that he was allowed to do. He's still not firing things over Japan right now, which, remember, one misfire, one rocket goes south. And my biggest thing with North Korea has always been he's going to screw up where he doesn't mean to hit a city in Japan or South Korea, but on accident, it goes south, and it does. And at that point in time, we all have to act, and it gets ugly. Well, you're not seeing that, but will we see it now that he's visited old Pooter there? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Car Shield. Love them. Treat you right. It's about being treated right. It is. It's about, and people say, okay, so tell me again what Car Shield. I said, all right. So say you have a car, right, and your car's got 90,000 miles on it. You don't have a warranty. You bought it used or whatever, or your factory warranties, was only up to 60,000 miles, but you want to have something as a just in case, because as we all know, something will happen to your car. It's where you go to carshield.com and use my code Benson, saves you 10%, but you check out all the things they have. So your transmission goes out and you got something, you pick the plan where they cover your transmission. You take it to the mechanic, or they have 24/7 roadside assistance. They get it to the mechanic. Then they'll get you a rental car while your car's in the shop, and you pay a small deductible, and they get the rest paid. You don't have to float them anything and wait for that check to come in. They handle it all. It is really amazing. And you check out all the programs they have, all the plans they have. Go to carshield.com, carshield.com. Use code Benson, or call 800-CAR. 6100, 800-CAR 6100. Use code Benson. Save you 10%. A deductible may apply. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
Last week, Rainn Wilson tweeted, yes, that Rainn Wilson.
This is Dwight Schrute from the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company.
The actor from NBC's The Office tweeted, at Elon Musk, quote, can you make a quiet electric leaf blower? 4 days later, Musk tweeted, quote, Tesla is going to develop a quiet electric leaf blower. That's it. No hat tip or anything. Wilson then tweeted, come on, Musk, give me some credit. Musk tweeted, nope, with one of those winky tongue sticking out emojis, leaving observers to wonder, doesn't Musk owe Wilson something? And is Tesla really making an electric leaf blower?
They seem to think so. I mean, my God, they're making flamethrowers and stuff. Why not make a leaf blower? If you could make a leaf blower that is quiet, you win, right? That's like making a donut with no calories. You win. It's a victory for all. What else drives somebody crazy than on a Saturday morning when you're trying to rest and you're laying in bed and it is just nuts. It is crazy. And all it does is just blow crap everywhere. It doesn't actually do anything. It takes all of the crap in your yard and pushes it out to somebody else's yard or the street. That's all it does. But if you can make one quiet, that's a win. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter every single day, including Avengers Day. We like to give you something that makes you laugh, makes you think, makes you hip and cool, makes you woke. We call this our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
It's a very L.A. thing, slashy. Slashy. That's my slashy job. What's a slashy? It's a person who has a job, a day job, but they don't consider that their job, right? So they may be a comedian or a writer, but they have a regular job during the day, but they'll tell everybody they're a comedian or writer, but not a person who sells copier machines or an accountant. You know who you are out there. Anybody who's ever been to Los Angeles, everybody who waits on you, they're an actor, actress, director, writer, producer. What they're not is waitstaff. That's your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
It's one of President Trump's signature accomplishments, tax reform, promising Americans get to keep more of their money.
Where it belongs, in your pocket or wherever else you want to spend it.
That was President Trump 6 months after they passed the bill. And according to recently released IRS data, it seems he may have been right. The average tax refund fell by about 2% under the GOP law. The new tax law has the government withholding less, which means more money in your pocket throughout the year and a lower refund at the end of it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I like how the way she says, well, he may have been right. No, he's right. He's right. You just look at your tax refund and you think, because it has to be explained to you, I'm not talking about you, but most people, you have to explain it to them. No, you got more money through the year instead of giving them money and then they give you some of it back later on with their non-interest loan they took from you. But nobody benefited. Oh, God. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I think the vice president very well knows that sometimes the words don't come out of your mouth the right way.
But I always say what I mean. Unchain! They're going to put you all back in chains. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. So, Jill, if there's ever a problem, walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shot, fire 2 blasts. Because if he's as smart as Barack is, he mustn't be from my neighborhood. His mom lived in Long Island. God rest her soul. Although wait, your mom's still alive as your dad passed. God bless her soul. Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. I promise you, the president has a big stick.
Gaffe prone. It's very interesting. You know, this is the 3rd time he's run for president. And he is he's not great at it. And the first time he ran for president, I think it was it Dukakis or whatever, or Hart. I can't remember which one it was, but it was, you know, they caught him in some plagiarism stuff that really wasn't plagiarism. And the New York Times is actually, back when the New York Times seemed to be somewhat objective, got him. But he's just not good. Some people are great, like Clinton. Right? Reagan, Kennedy, Obama, even to a certain extent, Trump. Great in front of the crowds, great at politician. He's just he's a good guy, but he's super gaffe prone. He is. And I just don't know how Biden's going to do. I don't. He's going to raise money, but can he find the lane that he needs to occupy in such a way as to not totally turn off the Bernie people? Because here's the thing about the Bernie people. The Bernie people are much like, I think, the Trump people in the sense where they'll take their ball and go home. Like, yeah, fine, I don't need this. You know, they're loyalists to Trump more than they are a party. They're loyalists to Bernie. I don't see them jumping ship, which is one of the reasons why I think they struggled. Hillary and them, for as horrible as the campaign was, yeah, you know, there wasn't a lot of people. They would rather go with, they didn't want anything to do with her. So it is going to be interesting because right now it's going to be a 3-person race to the top, maybe 4, but 3 people race to the top. And that's going to be Biden, Bernie, and Buttigieg. It's the killer bees. And money's going to play a big part. Buttigieg is, I think, positioned himself pretty damn good in the sense that if he doesn't get this nomination and he doesn't win out here, he's young enough. He set himself up in a position that should this race go south for the Democrats in 4 more years, he'll be even more poised and he'll have national name recognition. Obviously, this is Bernie's, well, you would say this is Bernie and Biden's last run, but you just never seem to know anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And how do you position yourself in a world where everybody's becoming more and more woke, and the person that you think you may have a good chance of beating, you may never get to because the people in the party that you want to represent think you're old news. You're 8-track tape. You're not streaming, right? Right? They're internet. You're not even dial-up. That's a tough thing. And when you've been gaffe prone, when you have been on the wrong side of, as far as they're concerned, revisionist history, you may get just out progressed because of your age, because of the color of your skin, and because of the fact that you're a cisgendered male. And part of that, their establishment. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does it, but he's coming and he's going to come hard. And, you know, you got a ton of people out there, I think, who think he's got a real shot at doing something. And look, I'll never say, I don't think he's going to, I think all things being the way they are now. So let's just say we're in a situation where everything stays exactly where it is at this moment in time as far as the economy. Record low unemployment. We're, like 50-year low. Let's say we get there next year. We're pretty much about full employment. The stock market has been, still continuing to move up. You've had records in the stock market. The 401ks are healthy. People feel optimistic about the economy. You're not beating Trump, no matter how much they beat the drum of impeachment, no matter how many investigations they do, no matter after a while, that's going to eventually turn on them, especially if you're 4 years in and you're still doing the same thing. Your best bet is the economy, sad but true, turns. People get sick and tired of the rhetoric from Trump and the drama. And it does it in such a way that it leaves you with Bernie at the end. Because you with Bernie at the end, Biden, have a chance. Because that word socialism scares a lot of people in the Midwest. And on top of that, people know, especially people that do vote. You may identify as this. You may be an activist. You may be excited. But getting out and voting, a lot of times we hear people, I forgot. And those. Let me tell you something. I think you know this better than I. People, because you guys are, I think you're pretty damn smart, because you guys yell at me all the time. So I think, well, you guys get it. You guys get it so much that you're not going to tax your way out of a down economy. So Bernie coming in an economy that is down is going to hurt him far more. Where a lot of times an incumbent, and if they're looking at the economy and it's just crashing, they're in for, chances are they're in for an ass kicking of their life in politics. The difference, though, is Bernie wants to then go into an economy that could be struggling and saying, I want to tax you, which is going to hurt and slow growth even more or stop it or send it further spiraling out of control and give away money. That's not a win. That's not a win at all. But how woke are you? And are you going to be like Cory Booker? You got to get out there and say your thing.
Would you pledge to have a woman running mate?
The question, if you didn't hear it, is will I pledge to have a woman running mate? I will have a woman running mate. To me, it's really clear that we do that.
I will have a woman running mate. Yesterday, it was a conference for women of color, and Bernie struggled. They weren't huge fans of Bernie. So I think I could see a Biden-Harris ticket, because I just don't know if Harris has the staying power, and the staying power means money, because there's a lot of them that are going to drop out by mid to end summer, and by the end of the year, you'll probably have 4, maybe 5. By the time we get to Super Tuesday, you may only have 3. So we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. We talked a bit about it last week as the polling started coming in, but it's getting more and more apparent that, yes, kids, you're just siphoning off mom and dad more than you realize.
A new study from Bankrate.com shows more millennials are being supported by their parents as they head into adulthood. This financial dependence is putting their parents' retirement savings at risk, in some cases keeping parents in the workforce longer.
They're not putting away as much as they'd like to for retirement. In some cases, they're not saving anything at all because they're covering costs like rent, car insurance, health insurance, auto insurance. It's jeopardizing their retirement.
Yeah. And retirement, it's not a new thing, but the way that it is today is much newer, because retirement used to be, you would spend your golden age, you weren't going to live much longer. The government wasn't going to support you forever. Eventually you were going to, you were literally put out to pasture, and it was just, you were counting down the days of when you're going to go. Now, what they say, you hit 50 or 60 and the chance of you living to 80 or so is just tremendous. So the whole thought of 65, plus we're not only living longer, we're living longer in a much healthier, better way where we're more active. So it's not the same thing. But the difference between back then compared to today, say 20, 30, 40 years ago, is today in retirement, not only do you have your kids who are struggling, right? Your millennial kids who you're paying, maybe help them pay college and all of the things you're doing. You've also got the fact that as we do live longer, we're having to take care of ourselves in a much different way. And there's a lot of money coming out of your pocket for other things like health care. And then you look over and you see your kids. So you're getting hit it from all angles.
Is it because the kids don't have a job, or what's going on?
It can be traced back to the financial crisis, the Great Recession. Wage growth has grown really slowly. It's only finally starting to rebound. Also, with changing societal norms, young adults don't feel the pressure to enter the workforce right away. So the rising popularity of higher education is also to blame. And once they graduate, they're saddled with student debt.
Which is, as we all know, extremely, it really puts you behind the 8 ball when you come out with so much debt. So you're looking at mom and dad, but mom and dad have also really encouraged you to go to school. So kids have gone to school. They've taken out massive amounts of debts. Mom and dad now have to figure out how they help potentially keep you afloat, hoping that you're going to land on your feet, when really you got to cut them loose so they can start learning some of these lessons. You're not going to let them sleep on the streets. Let's be real. But at the same time, you've got to start giving them a little bit of a push from the nest. It's tough, right? It is a very tough thing. And millennials and this younger generation, when we were so independent, comparatively, you look at the greatest generation, how independent they really were. And part of that was just because of the time, the age. By the time you're 16, 17, you're working full time, you're out, very few people went to college. It started to grow from there with the baby boomers, but they were out early too, trying to find their independence, doing their thing. The Gen Xers, I couldn't wait to get my license. I read an article last week in a study that kids aren't getting their licenses at 16, 17, 18. They're not even trying. They don't care. My brothers and sisters, they waited till my one sister, Hunter, she got hers when she was 16 and a half, 17. She failed the test the first time. But my brother, he waited till he was 19. because he didn't care. And my other sister was the same way. She was like 19. It wasn't a big deal. And it's so weird to see that. So this independence, because mom and them have helicoptered and dad helicoptered and they've planned their life out. That's the weird thing about it. They've just kind of done all these things and they've pushed you. And so I think they feel a bit of responsibility for that. And they don't want to see their kids flounder. But man, you got to cut them loose, kids. Cut them loose. And this is the other thing, because so many people I talk to who are in that position where they're thinking about retiring, they're not thinking about retiring from life. I mean, a few are, right? But a lot of times what they're doing is they're wanting to retire from the thing they've done for years to put food on the table, and they've saved up enough to finally do something they actually want to do. My friend's dad's like this, but he's had to continue to work and do the things because the things that he wants to do, he's had to put off because of his kids. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Oh, man. This right here, kids. The NFL draft tonight. Getting excited. You know, all the stuff over the next 4 days because the NFL dominates. But you've got to have the heart-wrenching, and there's a ton of them.
The bands are rocking here in Music City, but the sounds of dreams coming true are about to take center stage here in Nashville as the NFL draft gets underway. Night one will be hosted by ABC's Robin Roberts, and she says it's not just about watching which college stars will be the first chosen to go pro. Tonight's coverage on ABC for the first time will focus on their inspirational backstories. The draft starts tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Nashville.
Yep, it's all about the stories, man. What's the heart-wrenching story? What is it? What's it going to be? Oh, it's all about those stories. Tug at the heartstring. Makes it more human. Makes it more human. Right? Isn't that what it's about? Then you get other stories where, like Tom Brady's story is grew up in Palo Alto, grew up in an upper middle class, pretty decently well-to-do family, had the looks, had the talent, all of those kind of things, compared to a lot of these other kids where you're going to find out, I was living on the streets, I didn't have anything. And still Tom Brady hits the lottery. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. AMAC, love them. Treat me right, treat you right. How would you like to join an organization that's going to fight for you and the things that you believe in, like common sense immigration reform, going after politicians to make sure that they make Social Security and Medicare solvent and do the right thing and all of the things that matter to you in a way that they matter to you. And at the same time, give you benefits like retail, restaurant, hotel discounts. Oh, yeah, big time. Travel discounts, competitively priced insurance. They've got it. They're called AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens. They're here to work for you. Less than $20 a year. You're going to get back all the benefits tenfold. But here's the deal. They're not even going to ask you for a credit card. They want you to give them a try first. And they're going to show you what they can do for you. Join them today. It's free. 1 year on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. 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 Or call 888-355-1668. It's a 1-year membership. It's on me. No cost, no tricks, no credit card required. 888-355-1668 or amac.us/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
I'd do as many of these as people would let me do. I love it. I've loved the experience. It's been the best thing I've ever been a part of. And, I think the universe will continue to grow with or without us, just because it has shown no sign of slowing down or stopping,
No, Hemsworth right there. Yes, Thor. And tonight with the movie debuting, it's 3 hours and a minute long. I'm excited to see it, but the question is, when can you go to the bathroom? Right? When can you go to the bathroom? You spend a ton of money to go see these movies. I know what I'm doing. I know I've got my plan, how I'm going to, go there. I've already talked to 3 or 4 people who are going. I'm going to a little theater that not a lot of people like to go to. All the people around here are going to the big IMAX. They're going at like 2 in the morning or 11:50 tonight. But IGN has sent out a kind of life hack of when you can go to the bathroom and see this. So 55 minutes in, they say. Setting is in Japan, Hawkeye and Ronin, right? You can go to the bathroom. You're not missing much other than a little bit of a rainy fight scene. It's nothing insane. Hour and 3 minutes in, so not too long after that. Avengers HQ, it's a lot of stuff about the Infinity Stones, and if you watch any of this, you know exactly what it is. You're not missing anything. Hour and 10 minutes, 7 minutes later, right? You can make a quick stop. There's a bunch of banter for 3 or 4 minutes in there that's not going to bug you. And then hour and 40 minutes. So 30 minutes after that, there's a car, right, driving by. You cut to a new scene, and this is when it's in New Jersey. That's when you can go off, go to the bathroom, and you're good. After that, no mas. They say that is when it becomes endgame. And somebody tweeted me today, because I talked earlier the last couple of days about this, and they say, oh, Chad, you keep saying the Avengers aren't going to go on. This incarnation of the Avengers, they're like, you heard Liam said, oh, I play Thor all the time. Not everybody feels like that, right? Other guys are ready to go. It's kind of like Bond. Some guys are like ready to do some other things. And then they get out there and they find out their movies suck. And they're like, well, maybe I should come back and do this. So I think you'll see them, but not, you'll see the characters, but maybe not the same actors. I'm almost sure from what I hear, because I don't think Chris Evans wants to be Captain America anymore. And from what I hear from my movie buddy, who did work on the film, but only worked on a part where he's like, I don't know how it ends or anything, said that what they're looking at is Captain Marvel going off into different worlds with some of the characters rather than Earth. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
An idea that's stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant.
Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
It gives hope to the most desperate people on Earth.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird. It's a plane.
It guarantees that everyone is treated with dignity and gives hate no safe harbor.
A strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men.
Everything that has made America America is at stake.
Change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands.
That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
It's Superman! Yes, it's Superman!
Nah, it's Joe Biden. He's running for President of the United States. Not a shocker. Worst kept secret. The biggest secret is going to be, when does it get out how much money he's raised? Because I got to report that at some point in time. I'm assuming, and all right, producer Phil, over under, he's already got $30 million in his war chest.
I'm going to say under.
Under. I'm feeling he's got 30 million, but it may be under. But he's going to be in the lead. I know that. I know he's going to be in the lead. So he's going to release, I guess, a set of videos. Today was announcing it. And rather than, take on the issues, he took on the president head on. And it's about the president being all that is evil and wrong with America.
That's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. But those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. In that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime. I wrote at the time that we're in the battle for the soul of this nation. Well, that's even more true today. We are in the battle for the soul of this nation.
The soul of the nation. Trump doesn't have a soul. By the way, that's totally taken out of context, that quote. It's banter back and forth between a reporter and him. If you go and read the entire quote, what they talked about, you could go, okay, if this was read in its entirety, it changes everything. But it is what it is, right? That's you don't have to be telling the truth, as we know with President. It's so funny, right? So it's not, you're taking it's at a quote. Essentially, you're lying about what he said, but it's okay because Trump's a liar, so you're okay with that. Well, Chad, he did say that. Yes, he did. Read the entire quote, right? You can take so many of these things. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter if you're a star, if you're an athlete, as we know more than anything. You look at athletes. How many of them are totally taken out of context? So many of them, right? So many of them. But they've built the narrative. And Trump has got to fight that narrative. And along the way, Trump is not good at times. He's great working a crowd. He's not good in certain times in the way that he goes about it. He's just not. In the way that he talks to reporters and he does some of the things he does. But this is where they're going first. And look, right now, Biden's the least issue he has of people that are running for president is Trump. Because you got to get past the other 20 on your side that are running for president. You're going to have the money, right? You've got the name recognition. You're going to have all of the things that would be going for somebody who's running for president. You're going to have all of those things lined up, except for the fact, this is a big one, you're 77, you're part of the establishment, you're a white, male, cisgendered, meaning you're straight. You're all of the things that are trying in the progressive side as they become further and further progressive. You're all the things that nobody wants, supposedly. So, and you're old, right? I mean, you were born, right? So think about this with Joe Biden. I want everybody to understand this. Joe Biden was born 3 years before World War II ended. 3 years. That's crazy, right? Like 3 years. Like TVs weren't in homes. I mean, you get where we're, it's like this, the things that have changed. Doesn't mean he can't do it. Somebody tweeted at me earlier, he's 546 years in dog years. But when you're looking to go woke and young and new blood and different ideas and all of those things, he's going to occupy a part where not only are you a lot of the in this gender politics, ID politics, identity politics, you don't check off the boxes you need to. You're also well established with many of the big lobbyists. You're well established with Wall Street and big mega donors. You're well established in places that a lot of these voters they're going against. And you also realize that you can't give everything to everybody, and everybody on that side is trying to. Then you take into the fact that you've had more than a few gaffes, and in this retro rage world we live in, you've been on the wrong side of history on more than a few occasions, even though at the time you were on the right side of history as far as a lot of people are concerned. We have, and apparently in this day and age, people reserve the right to go back and to judge you based on today's world and today's sensibilities. He'll have a tougher time, and I've said this, getting out of the primaries into a nomination than he will taking on the president. Just because of all the things I've mentioned. And he's gaffe prone. Let's not forget the fact that he's been known to say some things.
I think the vice president very well knows that sometimes the words don't come out of your mouth the right way.
But I always say what I mean.
Unchained, they're going to put you all back in chains. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shot, fire 2 blasts.
Because if he's as smart as Barack is, he mustn't be from my neighborhood. His mom lived in Long Island. God rest her soul. Although wait, your mom's still alive. Is your dad, Pat? God bless her soul.
Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. I promise you, the president has a big stick.
And those are just a few of the gaffes. You'll hear a lot more of them. He's going to face more friendly fire than he will from Trump. Trump did what Trump does. He came out today and he hammered him, or already given him some nicknames. And as we all know, Trump likes nicknames because it's the way he starts to brand you. Just like the media, right, does the thing that they do. Some of it well-deserved with Trump, and a lot of it just overkill. Trump will do the same thing. He wants to get to you. He wants to brand you. Look what it did to Lion Ted and Little Marco and everybody else. He gets out there and he puts a brand on you. He's already called him Sleepy Joe and attacked his intelligence.
The president's going to have insults. He's going to have nicknames. This one is not surprising. I think he's looking to troll the candidates with these nicknames and hope to define them the same way that he was able to against his Republican primary opponents and then ultimately Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what he does if and when he comes up against Trump, but he's got a long road before he ever gets to that point. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your nickname. This right here, when we talk about immigration, right? These are the things that piss people off, myself included, because nothing ever gets done. You get activist judges, and people say, "Oh no, that's not you." What? It's real. It's real. And you hear stories like this, and you say to yourself, "What the hell are we doing?"
District Judge Shelley Richmond Joseph and a court officer accused of letting an undocumented immigrant out the back door of a Massachusetts court so that immigrant could avoid getting arrested by federal officials. Both Judge Joseph and the officer surrendering for their own court obstruction of justice arraignment. Federal officials saying that local judges cannot pick and choose which federal laws they follow, even if it conflicts with their personal views.
Yeah. So, and we've had that on more than a few. California's had that. This is the whole point of we don't want to work with ICE. We don't work. They're coming for a reason. But it's another one of those situations where these are the things that anger people. These are the things that frustrate people. These are the things when it comes to immigration where they say, well, wait a minute. Would you do that for anybody else, right? Like if the FBI is coming for somebody who's an American citizen born and raised here and you're like, I don't want to give him to the FBI. Would you do that? No. It's ridiculous. It really, really, really is ridiculous. And you say to yourself, that person should never work on another case again when it comes to immigration. I don't know what the rest of his record's like, but we already know that he's got a soft heart leaning towards let's just not no. So no, you can't do it.
The idea of anyone interfering with federal law enforcement is troubling. But if a judge did it, that is far, far worse.
Yeah, absolutely. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Oh, man. Excited. Going to go see that there movie tonight. Got the NFL draft. And the NFL draft is, we got 4 days, right? Is that what we're doing? So we do tonight, tomorrow, and is it Saturday and Sunday? I'm not quite sure if it's 3 or 4 days. But it's just the domination, and that's all that's been on sports television today, when you still have the NBA and the NHL playoffs and baseball still early in the game, but still it shows you what they do and how they do it better than anybody else when it comes to sports. How to only have a 4-month season and the other 8 months you can kind of dominate. It's crazy. It is crazy. Hey! Good night's sleep, vitally important. Last night, man, I slept so good. I slid into my Giza sheets. Now, in fair warning, I've not only got Giza sheets from My Pillow, I've also got their mattress topper. Incredible. But these sheets are so amazing. And cost. You go look what 1,000 thread count. Look what really high thread counts cost. And you're like, wow, that's insane. I'll just stick with the sandpaper I've been sleeping on. Giza sheets aren't going to set you back. My Pillow's got it down. This cotton has grown small area in the Mediterranean Sea, right there on the Mediterranean Sea, tiny area. It is the best cotton. It is breathable, and the way they make their sheets, the pockets are so deep that they're not going to pop off your bed. You're going to love it. 100% machine washable and dryable. You will feel the difference. These aren't just quality sheets. They're amazing. Get your Giza sheets today from My Pillow. Call 800-983-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. When you do, make sure you use the promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson or call 800-983-4975 And use that there promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of being angry, wait till you hear what happened with Otto Warmbier in the United States and North Korea. Chad Benson Show.
Got that sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
$2 million. That was what North Korea said it cost them to care for University of Virginia student Otto Warmbier, who fell into a coma after being sentenced to 15 years of hard labor in a North Korean prison for vandalism. The Washington Post reporting officials in Pyongyang insisted that a U.S. official sign a pledge to pay them back for the medical care Warmbier received before being allowed to leave the country. And the Post, citing two people familiar with the situation, reports that the main U.S. envoy sent to retrieve Warmbier signed the agreement to pay the bill on instructions from President Trump. The bill then sat at the Treasury unpaid, and it's unclear if it has since been paid. The Trump administration not commenting on the report.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to pay it. We signed it to get him out of there. It's ridiculous. $2 million, so much for a single payer. And he didn't fall into a coma because he vandalized and was sentenced. He fell into a coma when he actually fell because his ass was whooped and eventually killed by the North Koreans. That's what happened. When I first saw the story, I'm like, wait, they gave us a $2 million bill, like they had a $2 million bill printed, and they said, oh, here, this should cover it. Or no, they gave us a bill. Hey, we took care of your guy that we killed, so you owe us money. Oh, my good. And, of course, the little dude was hanging out with the pooter over the last couple of days, and the pooters basically told him, hey, we'll take care of you. We got your back. You don't have to worry about any of the stuff. We got you. You tell the world, though, we're going to tell the world that you need more of an insurance before you even think about giving up your nuclear weapons. He's still the little man, but not quite sure what the plan is. And over the last couple months, he's been getting a little squirrely again. And part of that is because what? Trump's not giving him any love. He doesn't like Mike Pompeo. So we'll see what he does. I don't know if he's going to do anything anytime soon. And I still go back to the thing that worries me most about North Korea. Right? This is what worries me most about North Korea. Is at some point in time, they're going to get desperate and angry. They're going to shoot something off, and their stuff isn't going to work. And it's going to fall into a neighborhood. It's going to kill a bunch of people, and all of the world is going to have no choice but to take action, including us. And that's when it's going to get really, really, really ugly. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Prison reform is something that's big being talked about. The numbers and stats are a little bit better, but there's still some stuff that needs to be worked on.
Incarceration rates across the country are down more than 10% over a 10-year period, according to a report released today by the Bureau of Justice Statistics. The Department of Justice examining data from 2007 to 2017, and by the end of fiscal year 2017, nearly half of all federal prisoners were serving a sentence for drug trafficking, while more than half of state prisoners sentenced to more than 1 year were serving a sentence for a violent offense at the end of 2016. That's the most recently available data. Major discrepancies, though, continue to exist among race, with black males sentenced at a rate of more than 6 times that of white.
Yeah, and that's something that needs to be looked in, but prisoners reform, remember, so it's down, the numbers look much better, and if you look at what, the prison reform that was signed, that was at late last year or whatever, we'll see what that looks like going forward. It's getting better, and I think you'll see the numbers come down, especially as they decriminalize things like marijuana. I think you'll see a lot of that stuff change. But, you look at the statistics and you say to yourself, at 6 times the rate of others, there is the question that needs to be asked. Why is that? Right? Let's find out what the symptom is rather than just saying, well, we need to, it's just because it's racism. No, let's find out what the symptom is, and we attack it at that angle. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every one of you. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
I believe history will look back on 4 years of this president and all he embraces as an aberrant moment in time.
Aberrant.
But if we give Donald Trump 8 years in the White House, he will forever and fundamentally alter the character of this nation.
It's the most important election in history. Everything's the most important. I was chatting with somebody yesterday. I think they were arguing. I was chatting. This is the way I was doing it. Maybe I didn't know I was in an argument. But when they talk about, Trump's fundamentally changing everything. Well, in the court system, he absolutely is. If he gets one more person to the court, I will tell you, he'll go down presidentially wise as even if he only does 4 years, as a mover and shaker that moved and shook, because changing that makeup of the court will do so much that I don't think people realize. Stuff that will be that people challenge over and over. And as we know, everything now gets challenged over and over and over again. And that's why the court, in so many ways, has become so vitally important. But when they start talking about, the rest of the world, let me tell you something. I understand this. Trump is the president. He is not America. Right? He's not America. He's the president. We are America. He is part of America because he is an American, but he is not America. And whether you love him or hate him, much like all the other presidents, there's a finite time that we will have him. Maybe it's 4 years. Maybe it's 6 years because he says, I only wanted to do 6 and I'm out of here. It's all yours, Mike Pence. Or maybe it's 8 years. And then after that, he goes. That's it. But he is not all that is America. He is a piece of America, but we are America. And I think people need to understand that. And that's the way this is going to be. He's going to just change everything. And the rest of the world's no longer to look at us as who we are. I saw somebody the other night say, it was an actor, and I think he was Indian, and he's got a show out. Is it Rami, I think his name is? He's got a show on Netflix or Amazon. He says, America's been the beacon of hope and everything and moral leadership forever. Whether you like Trump or you don't like Trump, America is due a mulligan just because of all that America has done. And I think it's true. Now, you may love Trump, you may hate Trump, but I think we need to put it in perspective because we are so emotional, as if the rest of the world has no problems, and this is the only problem the world has, and it's Trump, and that's not true, right? It's not. Trump is a person. He's not an Avenger, right? He's not a metahuman. He's a person. He's our president. You should want him to do well, and if you don't, you live in this tribal world, and many people out there don't. You don't have to like his rhetoric. You don't have to, but you should still want him to do well. And if he loses this next election and Joe Biden or Kamala Harris is president, I will criticize them as I have criticized Trump. And when they do stuff that's good, I will say, good for them. That's well done. Let's get behind them. You should want them to succeed. But when it comes to this whole thought process of Trump's destroying America, no, you're wrong.
The core values of this nation, our standing in the world, our very democracy, everything that has made America America is at stake. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
There you go. So he's in. The hat has been thrown in. Threw it a top hat because that's the kind of hat they had back in the day that was a pork pie. Not a baseball hat. Not a skull cap. Something a little bit older. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Americans, we're stressed. This is interesting. So it's a new Gallup poll. It's a global poll of 2018 and where we stood when it comes to stress, worry, anger. By the way, in America, all of those are up. And I'll tell you, I think a big portion of all the reason all of those up isn't the media per se. Everything plays a little part into it. Isn't Trump and his rhetoric, or the Democrats and their rhetoric and their derangement syndrome, and the fight between the two? A lot of it has to do with us and social media that I think is the reason that anger and anxiety and worry is out there. So where do we rank globally? I'll tell you this right now, as far as most stressed populations, we are actually, this is crazy. Greece is number one at 59%. And they asked the question, were you stressed a lot yesterday? Greece is 59%. We're 55%. So we're down there. We're like 7th. Venezuela is at 52%. Now, this is 2018. I'm sure if you asked them today, that would have changed. Should ask him, are you hungry? Are you hopeful? But we're more stressed, right? When it comes to worry, the good news is comparatively to other countries, Mozambique and Chad are sitting 1 and 2. I'm not really. I'm not worried at all. I don't know who asked the questions, but I am not. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. But when it comes to anger, once again, we're more angry than we used to be. But only 22% say we were angry. You know, this is the global average. You know, we're doing better, right? We're half as likely to be angry as the populations of Palestine, Iraq, Armenia. So, but we're still, you know, we're still up there. Now, when it comes to age ranges, and this is what I found to be interesting, 15 to 29, 64% stressed, 50% worry, 32% angry. You shouldn't have anything to be worried about when you're 15. 30 to 49, 65% stressed, 52% worry, 25% angry. And when it came to the 50-plus range, 44% stress, 38% worry, 16% anger. And then what you find, again, is the richest 20% have a lot less of that. The poorest 20% have a lot more of that. I think social media has a lot to do with that. I really do. I think social media has a lot more to play into to the developed world's anger, right? Because we seem to just be angry over what? I asked myself, over what? What are we always angry about? What are you angry about? You live in the best time in human history. I mean, you can get angry at some things, but I've noticed, especially when it comes to politics, people are angry all the time. I can't be angry. I mean, I'm not angry about anything. Yesterday, were you angry yesterday, if they asked me that? I was angry at the way Manchester United played Man City in soccer. That's the only thing I was angry about. I wasn't angry about anything else. I had a great day. Most of my days are great days, good days. I don't worry about much, because why worry about some things you can change or freak out about stuff you can't? It's try to keep it simple philosophy. But I think social media has a huge play in a lot of this stuff. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Remember that whole college thing? I was reading, man, there are people that are going to jail. I don't know about parents. That's yet to be determined. But what I'm hearing is there was a coach that's already pled guilty, hoping for leniency, looking at anywhere between 6 months and 3 years in jail over this. And then you've got the other ones out there who on the other side, who paid the money, who greased the palms. They're still trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing and where they're going.
New reports hinting to a possible defense for actress Lori Loughlin and her fashion designer husband Massimo Giannulli, pleading not guilty to charges of fraud and conspiracy in that college admissions scandal. A source close to the couple tells People magazine they just didn't realize that what they were doing was illegal, adding they gave money to this consultant, not entirely knowing everything that was going to be done.
So you're going to plead ignorance. Right? You're going to plead ignorance. That's what you're going with. You're pleading ignorance. I didn't know what I was doing was wrong. You didn't know what you were doing was wrong? Really? It's not that you didn't know it was wrong. It's like you thought it was a no big deal, right? Like, who's going to get mad at me spending a little bit of money to get my kid into school? That's what you thought.
You can't say I didn't know the details of the wire fraud law and therefore that's the defense. But you can say, as anyone would in this kind of case, I didn't know, I didn't intend to do it. I wasn't intending to misrepresent or to defraud, etc. And intent is a requirement, meaning prosecutors will have to show that they, in essence, knew what they were doing.
And that's always tough, right? Because you're trying to get inside somebody's brain, even though it may be cut and simple. You only have to have that reasonable doubt when it comes to maybe they didn't know. I think that what you say is, look, we thought what we were doing was we thought we were doing is privileged more than it was wrong. Like we were any parents who are trying to help their kid get a leg up, and we just happen to have more means and maybe better access. But anybody would have done it if they would have had the chance. And I think that's what they're going to try to do when it comes to this. And I don't know if that's going to work or not. Could you imagine if Lori Loughlin goes to jail for like 3 years over this? Or Massimo? Do you think they'll make him Orange is the New Black? They'll make him design stuff in there because of his clothing line? People are going to jail for this. I think it's silly. Speaking of prison, incarceration rates are down to 20-year lows. We're down 10% over the last decade. I think that's a good thing. I do. I think bad people should be in jail, and I think people who've made poor choices, but if otherwise, and a lot of that has to do with marijuana and stuff, I think it's ridiculous. We need to relook at that. But bad people should be in jail. But I think we have over-incarcerated and because it's turned into such a business, haven't we? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Joe Biden is in the race, and he's out and about, hanging out with people, shaking hands, kissing babies. Don't shake babies and kiss hands. That's just a little weird, although Joe's a little weird.
Why are you the best choice for Democrats?
That would be for the Democrats to decide.
That will be for the Democrats to decide, says Joe. So he's in Wilmington, Delaware. And I'm sure Iowa will be his next stop. So we'll see how he does. We'll see. 77. He doesn't look 77. I hope at 77 I'm that spry. Although I think we'll be in better shape by then, right? Because technology will advance so much and we'll probably be floating around so it won't even matter. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show was your Twitter. Hey, your house, you love it? You got stuff in there you love? You work hard? You get things delivered to your house on a daily basis because you're addicted to things like Amazon. You don't want to lose any of those things or have people break into your house or potentially come inside your house and do stuff to you. So what do? You're looking around, you're going, I need security done right. That's where Blink comes in. Their motion-activated cameras are incredible. You can see what's going on outside and inside your house with your Blink smartphone app. They give you a live look into what's happening inside your house. They are incredible. Easy to set up. So easy. I can do it, anybody. Their activated indoor-outdoor cameras are wire-free. Set up in minutes. A couple AA batteries. Last you a few years. And that live feed option is really cool. So you can check and see what's going on outside and inside your house when you're not there. Like monitoring your porch. Make sure that, hey, I got a package delivery. I want to make sure my neighbor goes over and grabs it because I don't want somebody to come steal it. That's what's awesome. Plus, you can check in on your pets as well. Totally affordable. No contracts, no subscriptions. It works with Alexa. Blink camera system. Simple, quick to install. Brilliant way to monitor your house and your package deliveries. Visit blinkprotect.com/Benson. 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 Blink is an Amazon company. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say
Kathleen Clarity couldn't believe it when she heard an elderly man had been attacked by a bear near her Sierra Madre home. She had heard someone on her porch late last night, but she couldn't tell who it was.
Had I known, I would have opened the door for him, but I didn't know.
The 84-year-old man had reportedly been in his sleeping bag when the 200 to 300-pound bear attacked, clawing him in the face and arm. Somehow he was able to get away and ran into this neighborhood for help. Clarity says she doesn't know the man well, but he's been living in the woods near her home for years.
He walks up and down the hill. We see him a lot.
Yeah. Well, he was in his bag. Next thing you know, Yogi comes in and says, hey, boo-boo, I'm going to eat this guy's picnic basket and maybe this guy. Say what? Yeah, Sierra Madre is interesting. My grandfather, who passed away a few years ago, he owned a beautiful house up there. Very kind of, it's near Pasadena, kind of shishi, upscale, but has those old craftsman-style homes. But you've got the mountainside right there. It's just very interesting to see, because you don't realize that some of these places, there is a ton of wildlife. You got mountain lions and you have bears, and they're close by.
Officers with Fish and Wildlife saw several bears in the area overnight, but were not able to immobilize any of them. They did get DNA samples of the bear from the victim's clothing and sleeping bag. They say if they do find the bear, they will euthanize it.
Unfortunately, with a wildlife attack, we always have to err on the side of caution. This is a public safety issue, so it's a sad reality. If we do catch the offending animal, most likely it'll have to be euthanized.
Now, here's the way I look at that. There's enough places out there that can take an animal like that, that can keep them alive. If there are enough sanctuaries out there that would give him an opportunity to survive, he or she. And it's a tough thing because these animals, from baby cubs of mountain lions or bears, and they're in and around people all the time. So the fear isn't there anymore when it comes to humans. So it's not like some animals that you'll see in the wild and they're afraid of you, and unless they're their babies are around, their cubs, they're not going to attack you. They want to stay away. Where they kind of learn to cohabitate in and around and be sneaky. So, as a resident, I think that, but you also have to realize too, when they get close, they are wild animals, and at any given time they could snap.
Homeowners in this foothill community say bear sightings are common here, but hearing about an attack and knowing the aggressive bear is still out there does make them nervous.
You have to be careful. The animals, sometimes you never know.
It happens here. You got to be careful.
Yep. They're animals, so you never know. He's correct in that. If you didn't hear the news already, Joe is in big time, and he's coming for you, Trump, and it's all about values of who we are as America.
The core values of this nation, our standing in the world, our very democracy, everything that has made America America is at stake. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Yep, so Joe's in, and Joe it's about occupying a certain space. It's about being able to appeal to a vast majority of the country, in particular in the Midwest and a lot of those states that he's going to need to win, that Trump won, where even though they may want to go Democratic, somebody like Bernie's going to scare them because of socialism. And they remember what socialism is about. They remember things like the Red Dread, right? The Iron Curtain. They remember the Cold War. They understand, coming from a different world than a lot of these millennials who are college educated and who've gone into this world now, having been somewhat indoctrinated in a lot of places where socialism's great, and we just need the opportunity to show you how great socialism can be. Nope, he needs to occupy a certain space where you've got to have a lot of Democrat voters who maybe jump to Trump because they're union members and they don't want to have a give everything to everybody president. They want somebody who's going to be standing up for the little guy but still keeps their liberty intact. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Folks, America's an idea that's stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It gives hope to the most desperate people on earth. It guarantees that everyone is treated with dignity and gives hate no safe harbor. Everything that has made America America is at stake. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Oh, I thought that was a scene from the Avengers. It's not. It's not. Biden is in. What does it mean? He's going to raise a bunch of money. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the weekend if he's got the most money in the books. He's been raising money for months, right? He's out glad-handing today, doing his thing. He is in, and today's video release, and apparently there's going to be several of them, is more a shot at Trump than where he stands in a lot of things. It was more, I'm coming after you, Trump, because of you're not love.
That's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. With those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. In that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime. I wrote at the time that we're in the battle for the soul of this nation. Well, that's even more true today. We are in the battle for the soul of this nation.
Oh, battle for the soul of the nation. He's the only one that's going to be able to save the soul of the nation. We're fine. We are. But I appreciate that, right? I do appreciate the battle. I'm good. We're good. You do you, Joe. We're good. 77, going to be 78 if he wins. Is that too old? That's going to be a question. His biggest fight before he ever gets to the opportunity to throw that top hat into the ring against Donald Trump is going to be him, his past. He was born before World War II ended. Like 3 years before World War II ended. 2 years before World War II. This guy is the younger generation that they want to be woke, they want to be progressive. They want somebody who represents them and who gets them, who's not 8-track tape, but who's streaming, who's podcasting. They want that. They're looking, and they're saying, and in a world of retro rage, where you say something, we go back in today's sensibilities, in today's wokeness, in today's political correctness, and we will hold that against you, even though in that day, in that age, it may have been acceptable for 99% of the people in the population in this country or the world. So he's going to have to deal with a lot for a chance to face Trump. Now, he'll have the money, and he'll have to explain that. How did you get your money? How did you get, your war chest? Well, he's got mega donors. That's how he got his money and war chest. He's got mega donors. He's as friendly with Wall Street as the Democrats scream the Republicans are. So is Joe. He's establishment. The way he treated Anita Hill will become an issue again. And all of this stuff isn't going to be coming from Trump. All of this stuff is going to be coming from his side of the aisle. His side of the aisle is going to come after him hard. When you go and look at this younger voting bloc that is coming out, that is going to be the biggest voting bloc, this electorate here is going to be so, we're talking about 24, 25, 32. This group, they're looking up and saying, you're my granddad's age. Not even my dad's age. My granddad's age. They're going to make it an issue. And what you're going to hear are little jabs, right? What you're going to hear is, hey, Joe, you were in law school and I wasn't even close to being born yet. You'll hear little things like that. People are going to think. Now, what does Joe bring? Brings a wealth of experience, right? All around, people on both sides of the aisle like Joe. And in a day and age where politics is so tribal, that is a helper. But he's also gaffe prone. And a lot of people are asking, well, where is Obama? Because this was, for all intents and purposes, this was his dude, right? This was guy that was number 2. Right? Where's Obama in this? Here's what Joe had to say.
I asked President Obama not to endorse, and he doesn't want to. Whoever wins this nomination should win it on their own merits.
So he said he asked Obama not to endorse him, and whoever Obama will eventually endorse somebody. I think what Joe's trying to say is, let's let somebody win this, and then when we get to that point where somebody is running against Trump, then you can endorse. But until then, let it. And for those of you not keeping score, he has endorsed one person, or at least said you need to watch out for this guy, and he likes him, and that is Buttigieg. That's who Obama has gotten behind. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. We'll see what happens. I mean, again, he's gonna raise a ton of money, and money matters. It does. He's going to have a lot of people that are going to, they're going to be behind him, because they look at him as that moderate voice who they can, how should I say this? While they're Democrats, they're not all the same feathers, if you will. Bernie, he's still a socialist. He can call himself whatever he wants. We know who Bernie is, right? And for a lot of people, even Democrats in the middle of the country, they fear the socialism and the free giveaways and the things that Bernie espouses far more than they go, we can afford another 4 years of Trump because we'll be okay comparatively. And so that's the one thing here is there's a splinter, much like I said with Trump. A lot of Trump voters, they're not voters. They're not coming back to somebody else. They may not vote for Pence. They're not sold on Republicans. They love Trump. And there's a lot of that on the left side of the aisle as well, which is Bernie people may say, yeah, if Bernie ain't in it, I ain't playing. I'm taking my ball and going home. And there's going to be a lot of voters out there that look at Joe and say, you're part of the problem. So even if you get by, I will seek a third party candidate because I won't vote for Trump, but I'll look for a Green Party person. But Joe does have that one thing for him in the middle of the country, much like Buttigieg does, but he's got that kind of, that workman-like attitude that people absolutely love, and you need to have that, especially in certain states. If you want to win, you have to be able to resonate there. Hillary didn't do that. Trump did, because Trump spoke to them. Hillary just avoided it altogether. She just thought it was a given.
Joe was a guy that could connect with my father, a guy who was a Democrat who carried mail on his back. I believe that's still where the bulk of the Democratic Party is. I don't believe they're out here on New Green Deal and we're going to give people who don't want to work money. And I don't think they're out there on Medicare for all. I'm going to take away, destroy private insurance. That's not where Joe's going to be.
No. He's going to occupy a lane that a lot of people are hoping is going to be able to siphon off disgruntled Trump voters who just couldn't stand Hillary. They hated Trump less than they hated Hillary. People that are disillusioned with Trump and just they don't mind some of his actions, but they're just fed up with the cartoonishness and buffoonery they see. And they hope that he can siphon from there. And those independents, which you're going to need, that 10 or 12% of people who will make up their minds in the last week or two who aren't sold for either party. And in saying all of this, the economy is still Trump's biggest enemy or friend. If the economy's just rolling along, boom, away we'll go. And he'll stay. If the economy takes a crash, then anybody who gets through may have a chance. But I'll tell you, you have a better chance with Biden if the economy takes just a downturn, with him getting us, quote unquote, out of it, than you will with Bernie, who's promising everybody the world and seeing economy that the biggest threat to Bernie is an economy that is struggling. And then him coming in saying we're going to raise taxes and give everybody free things is not going to be a helper for a lot of people and isn't going to help the economy. Stagnant would be better than a crashing economy for Bernie. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. The Avengers are coming out tonight. Also, kids, yeah, the NFL draft from Nashville. We're going to have our draft in the next week or two. We're going to have a tournament. We'll break down the left side of the aisle. We'll start putting. We need one more. I think. Well, we have 21 right now. I think. So we have 21. 22 would be perfect. We'll have 21. What we'll do is we'll put somebody automatically through to the second round. We'll have some play-in games of who we think might get there. We did this last time with the Republicans. We'll do it this time here with the Democrats because there is so many of them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, I still think that Cardinals who pick first are going to take I think they're going to take Kyler Murray. I think that's what they're going to do. I mean, is it the smart thing to do? I don't know. But I think that's what they're going to do. I think they've got a coach now where they've basically said, here, this is the offense. You're an offensive coach. This is what you want to do. But it's got to be trip to know, right? It's like, here's the thing. Like, you win the lottery. So if you win the lottery, let's say you win it tonight, you don't know you're going to win the lottery. Do you know what I mean? You don't know. And everybody says, well, I had a hunch or whatever. But you don't know you're going to win the lottery. When you're one of these guys, you win the lottery, but it's weird because you know you've won the lottery. It's just, when do you get to win the lottery? It's like, what time does that come? Well, it comes tonight for a lot of them. And then you get those, and over the weekend. And then you get those guys who are, they think they're going to be in the top 5. And then they fall all the way down to 28. You've seen them sweat in the green room, and they're not taken on the first day, and they've been invited. Oh, that's an ego kick. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from you. I will tell you this right now, kids. Lightstream, great company. Been working with them for a while, and they absolutely will treat you right. You go look at your credit card. So many people don't look at what they're paying on their credit cards, and they're paying like 22.9% or 18.9%. That's money you're throwing away. And maybe originally you didn't have great credit, but your credit's gotten better, but you're still paying that outrageous rate. And all of a sudden you look up and you're saying, man, I'm still paying on something I bought 2 years ago. That meal really wasn't worth 2 years of payments. So what do? You get a credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. It's that simple. Rates as low as 6.14%. Fixed, by the way. Fixed rates as low as 6.14% APR with auto pay. Anywhere between $5,000 and $100,000. And in many cases, you can get the money the same day. Lightstream is a division of SunTrust Bank, one of the nation's largest financial institutions. So peace of mind right there. And my listeners get an additional interest rate discount. Simple and easy. Go to lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer ends soon and is subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
$2 million. That was what North Korea said it cost them to care for University of Virginia student Otto Warmbier, who fell into a coma after being sentenced to 15 years of hard labor in a North Korean prison for vandalism. The Washington Post reporting officials in Pyongyang insisted that a U.S. official sign a pledge to pay them back for the medical care Warmbier received before being allowed to leave the country. And the Post, citing two people familiar with the situation, reports that the main U.S. envoy sent to retrieve Warmbier signed the agreement to pay the bill on instructions from President Trump. The bill then sat at the Treasury unpaid, and it's unclear if it has since been paid. The Trump administration not commenting on the report.
We should send them a bill for $10 million for killing him, not because he was sentenced to 15 years hard labor, but because you guys beat him to death. Let's be real. How much that piss you off? Should piss you off big time. And the fact that Trump, you have to sign something like that. I guess, to get him back, knowing full well you're not going to pay it. Just nuts. And speaking of Kim Jong-un, he was hanging out with the pooter,
North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un and Russia's President Vladimir Putin have wrapped up their summit in the city of Vladivostok in Russia's Far East. It was the first time they've met. There were plenty of displays of friendship. Kim gave Putin a golden sword. It follows President Trump's summit with Kim in February that ended in failure for both sides. Putin reiterated Russia's position that it understands North Korea's need to have security guarantees if it is to denuclearize.
Yeah, and here's an example of the influence that Putin has that is far more than just the hackers and the misinformation and the influence he tried to do here in the United States. There's a bigger thing at play here. He's whispering in the ear, don't give up your nukes. We'll take care of you. I don't care what they do. We'll make sure you have everything you need. We'll do all we possibly can, because he knows it's another distraction away from his country. And right now, Russia is not having a great time financially. They're struggling. And they have issues over there. Anytime he can be a thorn in our side, he's going to be a thorn in the side. The audacity, though, of a $2 million bill. I thought it was free. Isn't it free? It's free health care. Isn't it supposed to be free health care? Oh, you got to be a citizen and not beaten to death, because he was, right? He didn't slip or fall or have, some bad meat. He was beaten. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Parents, what are you doing with your kids? Helping them out. And it's hurting you. We're going to touch on that. Free speech at school when it comes to a paper and a student. Very interesting. Plus the Biden in the race. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Folks, America's an idea. An idea that's stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant.
Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
It gives hope to the most desperate people on earth.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird. It's a plane.
It guarantees that everyone is treated with dignity and gives hate no safe harbor.
A strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men.
Everything that has made America America is at stake.
Change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands.
That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
It's Superman! Yes, it's Superman!
No, it's Joe Biden. He is running to be President of the United States of America. You ask yourself the question, is he too old? Is he, by the way, just to let you know, Joe is only, Superman was 38, Joe was 42. Age, I'm talking about dates. So, interesting. Is he too old? I don't know. They're going to make a deal about his age. That's for darn sure. The left is, more so than I think Trump. Trump will poke some fun here and there, because that's Trump, and he's a troll. He's been out trolling him already today, making fun of his intelligence and also making fun of the fact that, they calls him, Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe. So we'll see how this goes. But he's coming out. He's going right at the president, and it's going to be about hate, because that's at first what he's doing is, along the way, because he's going to release his videos, he's going to find the lane that he wants to be in, and so he'll find it. We know what that is. He's going to be a moderate Democrat, a union kind of guy, roll up your sleeves, shake hands. He's going to be that kind of Democrat. He's not going to be the woke progressive Democrat. His hope is he can win back some of those people that were lost along the way that decided to either vote for, Trump or not vote at all. And we'll see what takes place, but he's going to come at Trump as this guy who's bad and evil. And, a lot of what he's going to talk about is racism and And it is going to be one of those situations where he's going to talk about, essentially paint Trump to be the ultimate divider in a lot of this. And that, the Charlottesville thing is going to be a huge play because he's trying to find the lane where he could say, look, I'm moderate. I'm not like them over here. I'm established, been around a while. They're going to be woke. They're going to appeal to a different kind of generation. But in the end, they're going to have two choices. It's going to be me or them, me or Trump and his like or bad.
We saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open. Their crazed faces, illuminated by torches, veins bulging, and bearing the fangs of racism.
The fangs of racism. The fangs of racism. Trump's biggest competitor, his biggest opponent, or his biggest, his friend or foe is going to be the economy. It is. It's absolutely going to be the economy. Because we all know if the economy's motoring along, we feel good. We're probably not going to make a change to something like that. The economy's really stagnant. If we're going backwards a bit, the rhetoric, the craziness, the drama around Trump, that will be too much for people. He'll go. If the economy takes a dump, just dies, they're going to say, you know what? I choose Biden over Bernie because Bernie wants to tax. Bernie wants to give away a lot of free stuff. And with that, you're going to have tax. And when you start taxing heavily, you're going to slow the economy down anymore. And if the economy is struggling, bringing somebody in who's going to promise everybody the world and tax the hell out of everybody, including businesses, isn't going to help the economy get going. So Biden would be our choice.
We have a president without shame. He is backed by a party without spine. And they are both backed by a network utterly without integrity that has become the Pravda of American journalism. That is an incredibly powerful trifecta. It can only be defeated ultimately at the ballot box by Democrats putting forward a candidate who is more compelling to the American people and registering enough voters, getting enough support for that candidate to win. From my view, nothing else matters.
Yeah. Tom Frieden right there, New York Times. And by the way, when you go after Fox and stuff like that, also remember where you're on MSNBC, so you're as shameless and spineless as anybody else. These things are no more anymore than somewhat propaganda machines for each other. So let's just all slow our roll. And you're working at the New York Times, which a long time ago sold its soul out to the Democratic Party. So slow your roll there in your righteousness. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Parents, kids, college age, older, what are you doing to your parents? I'll tell you what, you're hurting their retirement opportunities.
A new study from Bankrate.com shows more millennials are being supported by their parents as they head into adulthood. This financial dependence is putting their parents' retirement savings at risk, in some cases keeping parents in the workforce longer.
They're not putting away as much as they'd like to for retirement. In some cases, they're not saving anything at all because they're covering costs like rent, car insurance, health insurance, auto insurance. It's jeopardizing their retirement.
Yeah. And we've talked a bit about this. Whether it was last week, the poll, a new study came out, said 70% of millennials are still at home and asking mom and dad or mom and dad are offering because you're kids, right? But what they're saying in some of these things is you better let them do some of this stuff on their own, because otherwise it could be ugly for them because they're not learning some of the skills that they're going to need potentially when you're gone and you don't leave them anything because you gave them everything while they were alive.
Is it because the kids don't have a job, or what's going on?
It can be traced back to the financial crisis, the Great Recession. Wage growth has grown really slowly. It's only finally starting to rebound. Also, with changing societal norms, young adults don't feel the pressure to enter the workforce right away. So the rising popularity of higher education is also to blame. And once they graduate, they're saddled with student debt.
Ooh, yeah. Student debt, that's going to be a herder for the economy. It is. And here's the other thing. That retirement thing it's been around forever, and it's just a number. Today's a perfect example. Joe Biden's jumping back in the race. He feels like he can do it. I mean, you realize if he wins and he goes 8 years, He'll be 86 years old when he leaves the White House. 86. And he feels that he can go and he can do it. So the whole 65, that's a number. But as you do live longer and you start to, the one thing about that, even though you might be able to work, you're also experiencing things medically that's costing you. So that's dipping into your retirement. And then you add the fact that you've got kids still at home and or continuing to live off of you is not a helper. You're getting it in several different directions coming at you.
Millennials believe that they should be supported for longer versus baby boomers who support weaning adult children off of their parents' bank accounts earlier. That gap starts to narrow when it comes to bigger ticket items like health insurance, where there's a little bit of a consensus. Members of both generations agree that 23 is a good cutoff age. While parents might think they're doing their kids a favor, it's really misguided, and both parties end up worse off.
Yeah, you got to play a little tough love, right? You don't want your kid to be homeless. Let's be real. You're not talking about that, right? It's not about letting your kids be completely homeless. What you're talking about is, hey, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, you need to get 2 jobs, right? Play less video games. Get an extra person to rent a house with you, or a roommate. You're going to have to make some of those sacrifices, and that tough love is going to pay off in the long run. And while they may be mad at you short term, because a lot of times they're looking around when mom and dad have it. Well, mom and dad have it for mom and dad, right? It's crazy, but it's a different world now. I read an article the other day, and that how many kids are putting off getting their licenses because they just don't. Driving's not important to them. And I think it's easy. Yes, the ride sharing thing is a big thing. We've got 5 or 6 news people, younger generations, or like promo people that work here at the station, that they don't have licenses. And they're in their early 20s, and they've never had a license. They just ride share everywhere. That's their go-to get-around thing that they do now. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, you never wanted that independence? They're like, no, it was never a big deal to me. And I know that, like, living in Chicago or New York and some of the places where if you're a city, you didn't need it, wasn't important because you were never probably going to have a car, right? You could live your life and never really need a car because you had the subway, you had trains, you had the same thing when I was in London. A lot of people out there just never got their license. Well, they've got the tube, they've got buses, they've got cabs, they've everything you need. So it was never a big deal. But for us, it's always been such an independent thing. And I think we are the millennial generation. It's very weird how, and I see it with my little brothers and sisters. One of them really wants to, 2 of them really want to be independent, and the third one doesn't really want to be as independent. And even their independence isn't as independent as it should be. Like when we were younger. Man, when I was 16, I was like, I'm going to Europe. My mom's like, bye. And I went to Europe and I lived there on and off for a decade. And it was, I'd come home and I'd stay, a month or 2 during the off season and I'd train and see my family, and I wouldn't talk to them, and I'd go to Europe and I lived there. It was so weird. Nowadays, it's like, God, they just don't, it's like it's the guest that never leaves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. When you hear people talk about immigration and you hear about sanctuary cities and you hear about these things, this is the kind of thing that drives people mad, and they wonder why. Why are you so angry about, the borders and ICE wanting to be disbanded? Why? It's things like this.
District Judge Shelley Richmond Joseph and a court officer accused of letting an undocumented immigrant out the back door of a Massachusetts court so that immigrant could avoid getting arrested by federal officials. Both Judge Joseph and the officer surrendering for their own court obstruction of justice arraignment. Federal officials saying that local judges cannot pick and choose which federal laws they follow, even if it conflicts with their personal views.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that frustrates, because, like, wait a minute here. So how are you going to be a judge if you're not going to follow the laws? You're just going to make things up. And then this just shows you the insanity of it all. Wait a minute. They're not coming because they're coming because the guy's obviously wanted for something. And I bet as we find out more and more about this case, we'll find out that maybe he was wanted for a few more things other than not showing up for his Fear Incredible Hearing immigration thing. It was probably something else. And that's the thing that pisses people off. And you have every right to be angry about stuff like that because it makes the entire argument and debate about immigration go sideways. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Somebody tweeted in or texted in that Joe Biden's 546 years in dog years. 546. Well, when you know he's only 4 years younger than Superman and TVs weren't even a thing in people's homes and World War II was still going on, it gives you a sense of his age, and they're going to make it a big deal. They are. And I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about the left. Left going to make it a much bigger deal because apparently you have to be in your 30s or 40s to be woke. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. You know what everybody of all age can do? Eat meat. Butcher Box is incredible. In fact, I'm going to post a video. I did an unboxing the other day and got a really cool video that is just awesome. It's just off the change. I kept it 100. Look at me getting all woke. 100% grass-fed and grass-finished, free organic, wandering around chickens, heritage pork. Just amazing. Less than $6 a meal. I think it's $5.38 a meal is what it costs per cut. 20 different cuts. You can choose from any of them. You can build your own box. Get it the way you like it. It's incredible. Free shipping right to your door. Best tasting, best cuts, best quality. Won't find it anywhere else like this. Right now, my listeners, that's you guys out there. How about this? A breakfast bundle. 2 packs of the best tasting bacon. 2 pounds of custom breakfast sausage. $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Chad. 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 It's the Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Italy's state-run TV has long been criticized as being sexist, with scantily clad women prancing around. With 2 new public channels divided by gender, that criticism just got louder. I'm ABC's Megan Williams in Rome. Italy's public broadcaster RAI plans to create separate channels for men and women. The proposal has sparked fury among many people here in Italy, with critics calling it an attempt to turn back the clock on gender equality. RAI, which is controlled directly by Italy's populist far-right government, says it's repositioning programs to better target male and female audiences.
So that's what they're going to do. They're going to separate, right? Separate. Italy has huge problems. Sexism is massive. I mean, we want to all be woke. Right? Like the Europeans are let me tell you something about a lot of Europeans. They're a lot more sexist and racist than you guys have any idea. You do. Yesterday in Italy, soccer game took place. Lazio versus AC Milan. The Lazio team they've got some serious issues with their fans. They unfurled a pro-Mussolini flag, brought bananas to the stadium, because AC Milan had a black player, made monkey noises and sang songs about "this banana's for you." You've got television stations that are being separated by gender because they still want to be able to have their sexism, but then they want to give the women something they can watch too.
If approved, the reorganization would create 1 channel airing shows geared towards traditional men's tastes and 1 aimed at women. Feminist and male members of the opposition here have condemned the proposal as grotesque and sexist. RAI's own journalists union says, while it understands the need to target specific audiences, divisions based on gender are unacceptable and risk reinforcing the worst stereotypes.
Yeah, well, they're going to do what they do because they want to have what they want to have, which is guys want to look at scantily clad ladies and the kind of shows that they want, and they don't want to get yelled at it. So their whole thought process, if we just give them something they want, maybe they'll go away. Not as woke as you think. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Joe's getting in the race. With President Trump today called him Sleepy Joe. But he's jumped in the race, so we'll see as Biden gets in the race. But as woke as they say they want to be and as progressive as they want, I was telling producer Phil. So they showed all 21 candidates they're running. You know what I saw? I saw a woman of color, right? I saw Cory Booker's black and Julian Castro, and the rest is all white guys. The Republicans had Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, and Marco Rubio. So they basically, and then a bunch of white guys. Not as woke as you think. Not as diverse as you think. Oh, you just don't understand, Chad. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Your useless fact of the day, ZZ Top is a trio. Billy Gibson, Dusty, and Frank. The two guys, Billy and Dusty, they got themselves big beards. Frank Beard, the drummer, doesn't have a beard at all. Kind of weird. Love ZZ Top. Have a good rest of your day. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.